Hey everybody, what's going on? Alan here. Welcome to the channel and thank you for watching. I appreciate it so much, especially videos like these. They don't do that well. It's not like a repair video or an unboxing. It's just like a shop update, and I just didn't have anything else really to put out this week, so I figured this was better than nothing. So I guess we'll start with, let's start with the Jetta out there. Actually, the Jetta has been on the chopping block for like 2 weeks now. I had a serious oil leak that we had to take care of. We were going through a quart of oil every like week and a half or something. So we tracked it down. I'm under the car, and the whole leak is coming from the back of the engine. And you know, this is without realizing that leaks from the front can also travel to the back, throwing you off a little bit. But I tracked it up to the top, and it seemed like it was coming from the valve cover where the chain tensioner is, and that little half moon spot for the valve cover to sit in there. There's like two little half moons. One the valve cover does, one the chain tensioner does. But it looked like that's where most of the leaking was from. So we replaced that gasket here, right? This, and that it's a 1.8 turbo gas engine. And it's a little tricky to get this gasket replaced, thanks to some other videos out there. I did not make a video on it myself. So yeah, that engine actually has a timing belt on the front of the motor that powers one cam, and then that is transferred to the back of the cam where there's a chain connecting the first cam to the second cam. And that's where that tensioner is. It spreads that chain apart on two ends, you know, the top and the bottom, spreads it apart. And you have to get a special tool also, which is this guy here. Right, this car's been a can of worms, so you use this tool to compress the tensioner, and that'll let you lift it up just enough to slide that gasket out, clean it all up, slide a new one in, and that other half donut too, or half moon thing. But we got it on there, the valve cover changed, all back together, and then I noticed that the whole front of the engine underneath the intake manifold is wet, and I saw this crack right there, and everything under here under the front of the engine was soaked. This is coming straight out of the oil filter housing, and it goes up, and this was also broke too, so I took the opportunity to replace that hose and this hose. And this is part of the new kit. There's nothing wrong with mine, so we just reused it. This one's a little bit different shaped. I don't like it as much anyway, so even though it's brand new, we're not using it. And then also this hose was replaced too. My vehicle in California is covered in emissions tubing, and I could not find a kit that accommodated this extra thin tube with this extra check valve right here in this T. This is what I replaced it with, does not have this part that goes up to the valve cover. This is an ultra low emissions vehicle, and yeah, probably without going to the dealership you're not going to find this hose. So we just got a kit that bypassed that. That's not existing now in the car, and we'll plug the valve cover up where this went with a cap, and hopefully it doesn't throw any sensors off. There's also a delete kit for that engine to get rid of all the EVAP stuff. Let's check it out. Okay, so here we are. That hose that we replaced is underneath the intake manifold coming from the oil filter, and it's got that W-shaped hose that comes up to this Y pipe right here, and that's what I replaced. Right now I'm waiting on fuel injector grommets, because when I pulled this fuel rail out to pull the intake off to do that hose change, all the grommets broke. I'll show you that in a second too. But the EVAP delete kit will delete all of this stuff. Those hoses going over there, over there, all these air hoses in front, and then the air pump that's sitting down there, a little snail shell air pump. And the only hoses you'll have left is that one big hose that goes up to this Y, and then this one hose will go to the brake booster. This one will be deleted, all these will be deleted. Comes with sensors. It's on Euro Tuning, and it's also, you might be able to find it on like ecstuning.com. So got some 034 motor parts, or motorsports parts in it. And it does come with a few resistors that you would plug into these sensors, because after you delete this, these sensors, connectors, will just be hanging out nowhere over here too. So they come with resistors to plug in there, but it doesn't fix everything. You still have to get a tune on it to get rid of the check engine light. Apparently there will still be a check engine light, even with those resistors plugged in. So we're not there yet. We're not gonna do that because we're not ready for a tune. I wanna get a turbo and get the exhaust put on before we do any tuning. So that means we'll also be doing the EVAP kit too at that point. Yeah, it's amazing how a boosted motor can fall under ultra low emission vehicle category. I mean, how much air stuff? This is ridiculous. You got to plug in to make that happen. Ridiculous. So these are the little hats, little brown things, little plastic washers that hold on the bottom O-rings to the fuel injector. Without that, this O-ring could just fall out and go down into the intake. So we're waiting on those. We'll put some fresh O-rings, filters, and hats on all 4 injectors, and that will hopefully, since they're stock, maybe free up some horsepower. So we'll button that up, and then that'll be back on the road, hopefully running real good with that, even with that one hose deleted. Hopefully the system won't know. The Magnum is next. I will be making a video on this. I'm still dealing with the suspension. I put in all adjustable control arms in the back after doing brand new struts and shocks in the back, and then finding my old coil springs. So that I did have these pink adjustable setups all the way around, and they're blown out, and these have been sitting here in the dust now for a long time. But so I had to go back to stock, but I just can't get it figured out. Like the rear suspension now, it seems bound up and wants to kick left and right every time you drive over a manhole. It just feels like it's not relaxed, and it wants to pitch every time it hits a bump. Those were like Duralast springs if you've been following along. So we tried the stock springs to go back in there, and it made it too low. And then I changed the fronts from like some cheap internet ones to some KYB setups, and that seemed to adjust the front correctly. It's not as tall as it was with the internet struts on there. So the front seems okay. We just got to get the alignment done again, because it's all out of whack again after already paying for an alignment once. And I found the squeak in this, but it's also a little low. So I've got these rubber bushings. These are brand new. Top and bottom spring isolators, whatever you want to call them. Insulators, isolators, but those are brand new, and that'll hopefully bump that back end back up to where it won't look like it's sagging in the rear. Then I'm just going to try to align this with some string by myself and levels, and maybe I'll make like a piece of angle iron tool to bolt to, both sides, and use tape measure method. But then, I wouldn't be able to do that while it's loaded. How are you going to do that with the tires off and the suspension sitting where it's supposed to be? I don't know. So I'll have to figure that out in the next video. Now on to the pickup truck. It is ready for a lot of love, and this is going to be kind of a package deal for this truck and the Suburban, which isn't here right now. Because the top end fuel injection and intake manifold that's on this truck is going in the Suburban, and the computer chip. So the Suburban will get a little bit of an upgrade for a little while, and then eventually it'll get the 383 over here on the side that's not even put together yet. That was gonna go in this. But what I have now is this LS engine, Vortec LS, out of a 03 Yukon, and I've been putting in heck of work, dissecting the wiring harness. It looks like a mess. It doesn't look like much now. There's just a pile of loose wires, and here's the gas tank, and I had it running on the stand after I pulled it out of the GMC Yukon as I was dissecting wires to make sure it would run. Even if it ran out here on a stand, then I know I could get it running once it's in the truck. Cleaning stuff up. Valve covers were full of mud. Blocks still got some mud. It's been raining, but now might be a good day to get back on that. it's just caked in mud. But great running engine. So we're all good. Only like 150,000 miles, I think. 180, maybe. 180, yeah. You know, this is a 350 bored out with some smog legal aluminum heads and a stroker kit. So it's going to be a 383 that's going to now go in the Suburban with the computer chip and the upgraded fuel injection. So the motor stuff, unfortunately, is going to put a hold on the steering stuff, because if you've been following along, you'll know that I'm going to put in Toyota Prius electric column right here, along with the computer for it right there, and I've got some shafts. I've got a shaft there and some other parts and universal U-joints. It was going to go in there because, again, if you've been following along, you'll know that I got rid of the gearbox. I have no power steering. This is a 1977-ish Mustang 2 manual rack and pinion. I cut off the front section of my cross member and plated it so I could stick that on there. Got a aftermarket shaft that goes right up to the factory stuff there with a new U-joint, and it works really good, actually. There is a problem with the Ackerman. You know, the outside tire wants to turn in sharper than the inside tire, so there's some work to be done. I mean, this isn't something I don't think anyone's ever done before. There is a power rack and pinion setup from Flaming River you can throw in here. I don't know if they've solved that problem. The dimensions on that rack and pinion, that'd be nice to have. And it comes with a mounting kit. You don't have to cut none of your frame up to put it on there either. But even though that's taking a back seat, I can still work on some electronics. Now, I need to do is get rid of all the electric everything that's hooked to this column in preparation for the electric column steering swap. So I've got these buttons here, but they're not actually hooked up yet. So I've got a spot for like the ignition and, you know, the key on and then the horn, but I still got to transfer over like wiper stuff and blinker stuff, and I think that's it. But I need to put some more pop in this interior. I think we're going to start by making a new aluminum panel here to put some more of those buttons, add some blinker buttons here, and then that'll kind of shine through and pop instead of being black. I bought this carbon fiber one with the buttons thinking it'd be cool, but I kind of botched the installation, so it was slightly larger than this bezel, and I was trying to force it to fit and didn't work out. It doesn't look that great. I think what I really want to do to make it pop and noticeable is get rid of the bench seat and put in some, you know, bucket racing type seats. No factory, you know, Suburban things. I want to put in something a little cooler than that. Then that should draw people's eye in here and realize, oh, there's a lot more cooler stuff in here than I first thought. There's people at the car shows, they just don't. I'm just not winning any awards, and no one's really paying that much attention to the interior. A lot of people come around and stare at the engine compartment, which is cool, but they kind of walk by here and like, it looks stock, boring. And, you know, that's lame. Nobody wants boring. So those are some of my plans for the near future. If you've got any other ideas or anything to comment about, go ahead and let me know. But I think that's going to do it for this video. I appreciate you watching and hanging in there again. Not everybody likes these type of videos, but there are some of you out there that do. So thank you to you guys. Please like, please subscribe, please hit the bell. Go ahead and donate. Super thanks button down there. It's like a little heart with a dollar sign. But until next time, guys, peace.